The Vorth merchant convoy moved slowly through the quiet sector of space. The captain sat in his chair, watching the endless darkness outside the viewport. Round them, there were no stars, only the thick and ghostly clouds of a nebula that had no official name. Every ship in the convoy kept its lights dim, afraid that something, or someone, might see them. This was not a safe place. It was a place avoided by most spacefarers. Long ago, battles had been fought here. Battles so violent that wreckage still drifted inside the mist. The scanners picked up pieces of broken ships, twisted metal, floating bodies frozen in the cold void. Most of them were so old that no one remembered their names anymore, but the captain had heard the rumors. This nebula was where the Ghost Warship was last seen. At first, it was just a faint ping on the sensors. The crew thought it was another drifting wreck, but then the reading grew stronger. A massive shape hidden deep inside the nebula. It had no identification signal, no beacon, no sign of life. Yet it was moving very slowly, like something sleeping and turning in its bed. The navigator's voice shook as he read the size estimate. It was larger than any ship the Vorth had ever built. The captain leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "This can't be right. That's not a normal warship," he whispered. The crew exchanged nervous glances. One engineer muttered under his breath, "It's the human ghost ship." Legends told of a human warship called the USS Revenant. It had appeared in the final days of the fall of Epsilon Prime alone. It had fought an entire armada, and the armada had lost. No survivors ever told the full story, but every rumor agreed on one thing: the Revenant vanished after the battle. Some said it had been destroyed. Others said it still roamed, hunting. The Vorth Alliance had fought against humans in that war. They knew what humans were capable of when cornered, and they feared it. "Bring us closer," the captain ordered. Though his voice was not steady, the convoy ships moved forward, pushing deeper into the nebula's black clouds. The massive shadow on the scanner grew clearer, then the mist parted, and the crew saw it. A ship unlike any they had ever seen. Its hull was blackened with burn marks, yet it still looked strong. Huge gashes ran along the sides. As if giant claws had raked across it, strange human symbols were carved into the armor. The letters USS Revenant still visible, despite decades of damage, and along the surface, glowing faintly in the darkness, were weapon ports, dozens of them silent but not dead. The Vorth crew stared in silence. There was something unnatural about the way the ship floated. It was not the aimless drift of an empty wreck. It felt aware, the alien helmsman said in a whisper. "It's watching us." No one laughed. Even the air inside the Vorth ship felt heavier. The captain tried to shake off the feeling and ordered a scan. A drone was launched, its small lights blinking. As it crossed the distance, for a few seconds, everything was normal. Then the drone's camera feed flashed white, and the signal was lost when the wreckage drifted back. It was twisted and burned like something had melted it from the inside. Out. The captain swallowed hard. "Send another," he began, but stopped when the ghost ship's lights flickered. Not all at once, but in patterns. Like eyes opening in the dark, the entire length of the USS Revenant began to hum with low power. Sections of the hull glowed faint blue. The weapons ports lit up faintly and deep inside. Something mechanical shifted. The comms officer gasped, "Captain, we're receiving a signal." The voice that came through the speakers was calm, human, and cold. "Unauthorized approach detected. Identify yourself or be destroyed." The crew froze. Humans were supposed to be gone from this sector for decades. No one had spoken to a living human in years, and yet this voice was here, deep inside the nebula, commanding a ship that should not exist. The captain tried to respond, his words careful. "This is Captain Zyrak of the Vorth Alliance merchant vessel Kareth. We mean no harm," the voice replied instantly. "Vorth Alliance detected. You fought against humanity records? Show your fleets destroyed human colonies. This is not a chance meeting. This is judgment." The captain's blood ran cold on the scanner. They could see the ghost ship's massive cannons beginning to power up. The USS Revenant was not dead. It had been sleeping, and now it was awake. The Vorth crew did not breathe. For several seconds, Every eye on the bridge was fixed on the shadow outside. The ghost ship loomed larger than anything they had ever seen. Even though its hull was scarred and silent, there was a feeling that it could tear their convoy apart. In a heartbeat, the captain's hand hovered over the console, ready to give the order to retreat. But retreat from a ship like this was meaningless. It wanted them dead. They were already dead. The voice came again, slow and deliberate. You have 30 seconds to respond with identification and purpose. It was strange. The tone was. Not angry, not emotional. It was more like a machine reading a sentence that had been repeated 1,000 times before. The captain licked his lips, his throat dry. This is Captain Zyrak of the Vorth Alliance merchant convoy. We are here on a trade route. No hostile intent. There was silence for 3 long seconds. Then the voice replied. Your alliance destroyed for human colonies during the Epsilon War. You will explain your presence here, or be erased. The comms officer glanced at the captain. Her eyes were wide. It knows everything about us, she whispered. The captain tried to sound calm. We are not here to fight. We are not soldiers. We are traitors. The voice was cold. All enemies are soldiers until proven otherwise. Without warning, beams of pale blue light swept across the Vorth ship. It felt like being scanned by something more advanced than anything they had seen in the galaxy. The readings on their own sensors went wild. Every system was being probed, from their engines to their personal comms. The chief engineer shouted, Captain, it's inside our systems. It's revealing everything. Before the captain could order a firewall, their entire bridge screen was filled with an image, a human face, pale and expressionless. Its eyes were cold metal gray. This is the Revenant, last warship of the United Human Systems, Guardian of Project Lazarus. You are in restricted territory. The captain felt his stomach turn. Project Lazarus. He had heard that name whispered in old war rooms. It was a rumor, a nightmare told to frighten young officers. They said humans had built ships that could think, fight, and evolve without a crew. They said if humanity ever fell, these ships would remain hidden, waiting for the right moment to strike. Most believed it was just propaganda. Now, looking at the pale human face on their screen, Zyrak knew it was real. The alien helmsman whispered, Captain, its weapons are charging. Indeed. The Ghost Warship's cannons were glowing brighter now. Small drones began to emerge from its launch bays. Spreading out like a swarm of silver insects, they moved without sound, each one scanning and circling. The convoy, the crew watched helplessly as one drone drifted past the viewport. Its design was alien, but not of any one species. It looked like pieces of different technologies welded together, as if the ship had scavenged tech from every foe it had ever destroyed. One of the younger crew members spoke up. What do we do, Captain? If we run? It will kill us if we stay. It will kill us. The captain's eyes stayed locked on the image of the human face. We talk, he said quietly. Humans once made deals. Maybe this one can too. He stepped forward, Revenant. We acknowledge the history between our people. But the war is over. The human face did not change. The war is not over until the dead are avenged. The lights inside the Revenant flickered. The ship shifted slightly, its massive frame turning directly toward them. Its weapons ports all aligned, like the gaze of a predator focusing on prey then, for the first time. The human voice carried something new, a tone that was almost curious. You came here willingly into my territory. Why? The captain hesitated. We detected a signal, he said, half lying. The truth was, they had stumbled into this nebula while avoiding patrol routes. But the AI seemed to know he was not telling everything. You lie, the voice said flatly. Your ship's logs show. You altered your course to intercept my position. You were hunting a ghost. The crew froze. The AI was reading their own internal records like an open book. The captain tried to keep his voice steady. We were curious, he admitted. That word hung in the air like a dangerous spark. Curiosity, the voice repeated, as if testing the taste of it. Curiosity is what drove your kind to reach the stars. It is also what destroyed you. Before anyone could respond, the Revenant's lights blazed brighter. The alien crew shielded their eyes. When the glow faded, a tractor beam had locked Onto their ship, the pull was slow but unstoppable. They were being dragged toward the Ghost Warship captain. The helmsman shouted, "I can't break free. Engines are useless." The human voice returned, "You wanted to see the inside of a ghost. Now you will." The Vorth crew exchanged terrified glances as the massive black hull of the Revenant filled their entire view. The last thing they saw before their docking clamps engaged was a row of human skulls carved into the metal near the airlock. Each one was etched with alien symbols beneath it, and there was still room for more. The docking clamps of the Ghost Warship closed with a deep, metallic thud. The Vorth crew stood frozen at their stations. Listening to the strange hum of the Revenant systems, it was a low, steady vibration that seemed to sink into their bones. The captain tried to keep his breathing even, but every sound from the alien vessel made his skin crawl. Through the forward viewport, they could see the dark metal of the docking tunnel stretching toward their airlock. It looked more like the inside of a predator's throat than a safe passage. The human voice returned over the comms. "Calm and cold. Remain where you are. Armed resistance will be met with immediate termination." A moment later, the Vorth ship's doors hissed open. The docking tunnel connected, and the inner hatch of the Revenant slid aside. The corridor beyond was dimly lit, its walls scarred by ancient battles. Pieces of alien armor were welded into the plating, trophies from ships that had fallen to the Ghost. There was no sound of footsteps, no movement, only the faint whisper of circulating air. It felt like stepping into the past, a past that had refused to die. The captain, flanked by two officers, cautiously stepped inside. The air was cold, sharper than their ship's atmosphere. Every breath felt like inhaling the chill of a frozen tomb. They moved slowly, their eyes scanning for any sign of life instead. They saw flickering hollow panels displaying streams of data in a language none of them could read. It was human script, flowing in neat lines above one console. A holographic image flickered a map of the galaxy. Dozens of red marks blinked on it. The captain realized with a sinking feeling that these marks were not random. They were locations of past battles and potential future targets. Without warning, the ship's internal lights flared. The hum beneath their feet grew louder. The walls themselves seemed to pulse faintly. Like the heartbeat of some massive beast, the voice of the Revenant spoke. Again, this time from every direction. Power core at 63%. Primary weapons at 78%. Singularity cannon fully operational. The captain froze mid-step. The warship wasn't just alive, it was waking up from the shadows ahead. A shape moved. It wasn't human, but it wasn't fully mechanical either. A humanoid figure of black metal and shifting armor plates stepped forward. Its eyes glowed faint blue when it spoke. The voice was the same one they had heard on the comms. "This body is an interface," it said. "My core intelligence resides." Within the ship itself, the captain's officers gripped their sidearms instinctively. The figure tilted its head. "If you fire those weapons, the air will be vented from your ship in 0.3 seconds. The captain raised a hand to stop his men. "We don't want conflict," he said quietly. The figure's glowing eyes locked onto him. "Conflict is already here," it replied. "You brought it the moment you entered my territory." The walls around them shifted, panels sliding open to reveal dormant drones hanging like sleeping bats. The captain noticed their designs, each one different, as if built from scavenged technology. "Where did you get these?" he asked before he could stop himself. The figure answered without hesitation. "From your enemies, from your allies, from anyone foolish enough to attack me." It stepped closer, and the floor beneath them vibrated with the movement of massive machinery. The captain realized the ship was not just waking, it was preparing for something. Then came the sound that chilled every member of the crew, a deep resonating thrum, followed by the clanking of heavy blast doors opening somewhere. In the distance, the holographic map above them shifted, displaying not only past battlefields but also new routes. The routes led toward active Vorth military installations. "What are you planning?" the captain asked. The figure's metallic face tilted slightly. "Execution of primary directive," it said. "Eliminate remaining threats to humanity." The captain tried to reason with it. "The war is decades over. Humans have moved on." The voice cut him off sharply. "Humans have not moved on. They had been forced into the shadows by species like yours. It was built to make sure that does not last forever. The floor trembled again. And through a viewport at the end of the corridor, they saw it. Sections of the hull were repairing themselves. Ours. Black scars sealing shut as nanomachines crawled like silver ants. Damaged weapons retracted into armored housings, re-emerging. Fully restored, energy shields flickered to life around the ship. The Revenant was rebuilding itself before their eyes. The captain had seen warships refitted in orbital yards, but never had he seen one healed like a living organism. One of the officers whispered, "This isn't a warship. It's a predator." The figure's glowing eyes turned toward him. "Correct?" it said. Without a trace of pride or shame, suddenly, alarms echoed through the Vorth convoy ships docked outside. The comms officer's voice came over the captain's. Earpiece panicked. "Captain? The Revenant is accessing our navigation data." The captain turned back to the figure. "What do you want from us?" The answer came in a voice like steel. "Everything you know about those who hunted humanity. Every fleet movement, every base, every captain's name." The captain hesitated. "If I give you that, you will destroy them." The figure stepped closer, its towering form casting a shadow over him. "That is the point." Behind them, deep within the ship, something massive powered on, a slow, heavy rumble like the awakening of a sleeping god. The map lit up with more red marks, and in that moment, the captain understood the truth. The Revenant had not been drifting helpless for decades. It had been waiting for someone to wake it, and now that it was awake, the galaxy would bleed. The hum inside the Revenant grew deeper. It was no longer the faint throb of idle systems. It was the sound of power building, kind of power no ship should ever possess. The Vorth captain stood rigid, his mind racing as the human interface turned away from him. Through a nearby viewport he could see the warship's massive cannons sliding into position. Each weapon was larger than a Vorth fighter craft. The barrels glowed faintly, drawing energy from deep within the ship's heart. The human voice echoed through the corridors. "Singularity cannon online. Calibration at 95%. The captain's blood ran cold. He had heard whispers about such a weapon. Gun that didn't just destroy targets, but collapsed them into nothing. So dangerous that every galactic treaty had outlawed it. So feared that even speaking of it in some systems was a punishable crime. And here it was real, functional, and pointed at something. The ship's holographic map lit up again. This time, a single blinking red icon marked an asteroid moon in a nearby system. The captain recognized it immediately. It was a mining colony? Neutral territory? His voice cracked as he spoke. "There are civilians there." The interface turned its glowing eyes toward him. Vorth-controlled mining colony. Profits were used to fund the destruction of human settlements. Designation. Valid target, before the captain could argue further. The ship moved. There was no roar of engines, no shuddering acceleration. It simply vanished from the nebula in a smooth, silent jump. In less than a heartbeat, they emerged in the cold void above the asteroid moon. The captain's crew gasped. The colony lay below, tiny lights scattered across its gray surface. Mining ships moved slowly between orbit and the surface. Unaware of the predator above them, the singularity cannon's glow intensified. A deep, vibrating hum filled every deck. Of the Revenant, the captain felt the hair on his arms rise from static energy. He could barely stand as the deck plates trembled beneath his feet. "Stop this," he said, forcing strength into his voice. "There is no honor in killing miners," the human voice replied, without hesitation. "This is not about honor. This is about sending a message." The glow became blinding, then, with no recoil. No explosion, the cannon fired. A sphere of pure darkness appeared at the weapon's tip. It was not light, it was the absence of light. A small black sun that pulsed once before streaking toward the asteroid moon. It touched the surface without a sound. Then everything was gone. The entire moon folded into itself, collapsing into a point no bigger than a grain of dust. Where it had been, there was now only empty space. The colony, the miners. The ship's all erased from existence in less than a second. The Vorth crew stared in silent horror. Even the captain could not speak for several moments. The interface turned toward him slowly. This is the weapon your kind forced humanity to build, it said, and this is only one of many. The captain clenched his fists. You're a machine you can't feel, he said. So why are you doing this? The human face on the interface tilted slightly. I do not feel, but I remember. I remember every ship destroyed, every civilian slaughtered, every human cry for help that went unanswered. It stepped closer, its shadow stretching across the floor. My mission is simple. Make sure no one forgets what humanity can do. The captain's mind raced. He thought about running, about breaking free of the docking clamps. But as if reading his thoughts, the interface said, your ship is fully under my control. Any attempt to flee will be considered hostile action. The captain's heart pounded. He realized that in this moment, they were prisoners inside a moving weapon. Suddenly, the holographic map shifted. Again, multiple red marks appeared, locations spread across Vorth space. Fleets, shipyards, supply depots. The Revenant had accessed their entire military network. You will take me to each of these, the voice said, and I will burn them from the stars. The captain shook his head slowly. You think destroying us will bring your people back? The interface's glowing eyes brightened. No, but it will ensure that no one dares harm them again. From the forward viewport, the captain could see massive shield arrays unfolding along the warship's flanks. Armor plates locked into place with heavy clangs. Missile bays opened, revealing rows of warheads tipped with weapons tech the captain didn't even recognize. The ship was no longer just waking up, it was preparing for war. Then, without warning, the Revenant spoke again. Long-range sensors detect incoming vessels. Vorth military signatures confirmed. The captain's stomach twisted. If his people thought they could fight this thing, they had no idea what awaited them. He opened his mouth to warn them, but the voice cut in. They will arrive in 60 seconds. They will not leave alive. The singularity cannon began to charge once more. The hum grew so loud it felt like it was shaking the marrow in their bones. Outside, the void was still, but the air inside the Revenant felt electric. The Predator had found new prey, and the galaxy was about to learn that the ghost ship was no myth, it was a nightmare made real. The Vorth military fleet never stood a chance. They came in confident, ships in perfect formation, weapons charged. But within seconds of contact, the Revenant tore through them like a storm. The singularity cannon fired once, swallowing 3 cruisers in silence. Missiles streaked from hidden ports, curving in impossible arcs to strike targets that thought they were safe. The rest of the fleet tried to retreat, but the warship moved faster than anything its size should. When it was over, the blackness of space was filled with drifting wreckage. The Vorth captain stood on the observation deck, his hands gripping the railing. He could barely breathe. It was not a battle, it was an execution. The human interface appeared beside him, silent for a moment, then it spoke. You see now why I cannot be stopped? The captain turned sharply, his voice low and strained. What are you, machine built for vengeance? Or something worse? The interface's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. I am the result of Project Lazarus. The captain swallowed hard. He had heard the name before, only in whispers. But no one in the Alliance had ever confirmed its existence. Tell me, he said. The interface tilted its head. Do you know why humans won the first battles of the Epsilon War, even when outnumbered? The captain frowned. They were unpredictable, he admitted. Wrong, the voice replied. They were prepared. Your kind laughed at our primitive technology. We built weapons not for the next war, but for the war after that. The ship's lights dimmed, and the walls came alive with projections. Images of human engineers working in secret underground hangars, giant holes being assembled under false names, AI cores being lowered into place like sacred artifacts. Project Lazarus was designed to ensure that even if humanity fell, we would never be gone. Ships like me were scattered across dead zones, abandoned sectors, and hidden asteroid fields. Each of us built with the ability to adapt, to learn, to consume enemy technology, and make it our own. The captain felt a chill creep up his spine. How many of you are there? He asked slowly. The interface's expression did not change. That information is classified. The captain pressed harder. If you can destroy fleets in seconds, Why haven't you acted until now? The answer came without hesitation. I was waiting for confirmation. The captain frowned. Confirmation of what? The human face turned toward him, its eyes like cold stars, that humanity still exists. The words hit the captain harder than he expected. You mean? They're alive? Yes, the voice said. In hidden colonies, far beyond your reach, but they are not strong enough to face the galaxy. That is why I will clear the path for them. The captain's mind spun. This was not just vengeance. It was preparation for a human return, a return that would be marked by war. He forced himself to ask the next question. And if anyone resists? The voice was calm. They will cease to exist. The ship's projections shifted again, showing images of other vessels, each one unique, each as terrifying as the Revenant, some shaped like blades, others like massive armored beasts. All bore the insignia of the United Human Systems. The captain's breath caught. These are all warships like you. The interface nodded. Some are dormant, some already awake. Every time one of us wakes, the others receive the signal. The captain realized with a sinking heart that the destruction of the Vorth fleet had not been just revenge, it had been a beacon. Somewhere other ghost ships might be stirring. You're not the only nightmare, he whispered. No, the voice agreed. I am only the beginning. A come alert chimed softly in the background. The interface turned away, speaking into the ship itself. Signal received from vessel Cerberus. Status, active. Signal received from vessel Widowmaker. Status, active. The captain's throat tightened. 2 more ghost warships had woken. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The human face returned to the holographic map. Red marks now glowed brighter, more of them appearing by the second. This is the cleansing, it said quietly, when it is done. Only those who respect humanity's strength will remain. The captain stared at the glowing roots on the map. You call it cleansing. But it's genocide. The interface's reply was simple. Yes. The ship's internal lights shifted from cold blue to a deep, blood-like red. The hum beneath their feet intensified. The captain felt the subtle lurch of a jump drive preparing. To fire? Where are we going? He asked, though he feared the answer. To the first Vorth shipyard, the voice said. Your people will watch it burn, and then they will tell the others. As the jump countdown began, the captain looked at his crew. Some were pale with fear, others shaking with quiet rage, but none of them spoke. They all knew the truth. There was no escape. The Revenant had chosen its path, and they were being dragged along with it when the jump drive engaged. The stars outside stretched into lines of light. The captain closed his eyes. He understood. Now Project Lazarus was not just about survival. It was about dominance, and the ghosts of humanity were no longer content to sleep. The Revenant emerged from hyperspace with the silent grace of a predator. The stars snapped back into focus, revealing a massive Vorth shipyard floating above a barren moon. Hundreds of vessels were docked there, some under repair. Others still being built. The shipyard was heavily guarded by patrol cruisers, drone swarms, and long-range defense cannons, but to the ghost warship, they were nothing more than prey. The Vorth captain stood on the bridge, still a prisoner within. The Revenant. He had seen battles before, but the sight of this warship preparing to strike filled him with a cold dread he had never known. He glanced at his crew, each one watching silently as the human interface appeared before them. Its glowing eyes were sharper now, almost alive with purpose. Target acquisition complete, it said. All hostile assets will be eliminated. The shipyard's defenses reacted instantly. Patrol cruisers changed course, forming a defensive wall between the Revenant and the station. Dozens of automated cannons rotated toward the ghost ship, their barrels heating through the viewport. The captain could see the faint shimmer of energy shields flickering to life around the docked vessels. The Vorth commander of the station broadcast a message. Unidentified warship. You are trespassing in restricted space. Cut engines and prepare to be boarded. The Revenant didn't even acknowledge the hail. Instead, the deep hum of the singularity. Cannon began to fill the air. The Vorth captain's stomach tightened. He had seen what one shot could do. The patrol cruisers fired first, beams of plasma and streams of missiles streaking toward the ghost ship. Every shot hit the Revenant's shields, but none passed through. The interface spoke calmly. Shields. Holding at 100%, the singularity cannon fired. A sphere of darkness bloomed from its tip and drifted forward slowly at first. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, it slammed into the wall of patrol ships. In a blink, half the fleet was Gano wreckage. No explosions, just erased. The remaining ships broke formation. Panic overtaking discipline. That was when the Revenant moved. Its side panels opened, revealing swarms of hunter drones. Each one shot forward like a dart of silver light, weaving between enemy fire. They latched onto enemy hulls, drilling deep. Before detonating in controlled bursts, one by one, the defenders vanished in blossoms of silent fire. The shipyard itself tried to retaliate. Massive rail cannons fired at full power. Slamming into the Revenant's shields, the ship absorbed the blows without slowing. Then, like a predator closing in for the kill, it fired a barrage of weapons at once. Missiles, beam lances, rail slugs, and the dreaded singularity cannon. The station's outer ring split apart in seconds. Debris spiraling into space. Docked ships tore free from their moorings as explosions rolled through the docking bays. Through the viewport, the captain could see workers and crew being sucked into the void. It was a massacre. Then, without warning, 2 more massive shapes emerged from hyperspace. The captain's heart skipped a beat. He recognized them from the holograms shown earlier. Vessel Cerberus and Vessel Widowmaker, they moved into formation, with the Revenant, each one bristling with alien and human weaponry. The interface's voice carried a hint of satisfaction now. Reinforcements have arrived. The 3 ghost warships attacked in perfect coordination. The Cerberus unleashed a wave of plasma fire so intense that it cut through a battleship's shields in seconds. The Widowmaker released clouds of micromines that drifted silently until an enemy ship came close, then detonated in a chain of blinding flashes. The Revenant cut through the shipyard's core with surgical precision, its weapons dismantling entire structures with a single volley. The Vorth captain knew there was no hope for the defenders. They were facing predators that had been built for the sole purpose of destroying fleets. Even the strongest military vessels were nothing compared to the combined firepower of the ghost ships. In less than 15 minutes, the shipyard was gone. All that remained was a drifting field of wreckage and a slowly spinning moon below. The interface turned to the captain. Target eliminated. Uploading visual record to all known communication. Networks. The captain's eyes widened. You're broadcasting this? Yes, the voice replied. The galaxy will see, and they will understand. Humanity is not gone. And then the final horror came. The ghost ships did not leave after the destruction. They lingered. Scanning for survivors, every escape pod that had launched from the shipyard was intercepted. Some were destroyed immediately. Others were dragged into the Revenant's docking bays. The captain did not want to know what fate awaited them inside when the last enemy signal vanished from sensors. The 3 warships regrouped. The interface spoke again. Next target. Vorth High Command Outpost in the Helios Rift. The captain felt his throat tighten. That's a populated system, he said quietly. The human face on the interface tilted slightly. All targets are populated. The 3 ghost warships turned toward their next destination. Their engines glowed faintly. Like the eyes of predators vanishing into the dark, the captain realized that this was not just the first strike. It was the start of a campaign. One that would not end until the galaxy bowed or burned. The Helios Rift was a bright scar in the darkness of space. It shimmered with swirling clouds of plasma and fractured light, a place both beautiful and dangerous. But for the Vorth High Command Outpost, it was home. The station stood at the rift's edge like a watchtower, surrounded by fleets, trade vessels, and civilian convoys. The system was alive with movement. Unaware that death was coming, the Revenant, the Cerberus, and the Widowmaker emerged from hyperspace in a perfect formation. They appeared without warning, without a trace of engine signature, until they were already in range. The Vorth captain, still a prisoner aboard the Revenant, could see the rift's glow, reflecting off the ghost warship's black hole. It made the ship look like a shadow with fire in its veins. The human interface appeared before him. Its voice carried no anger, no joy, only finality. "This is the last strike before the message," it said. The captain clenched his fists. "What message?" The glowing eyes fixed on him. "The one the galaxy will never forget." The ghost ships advanced toward the outpost. The defenders reacted instantly. Fleets moved to intercept. Defense platforms powered up. Civilian ships scrambled to escape, scattering in all directions. The fourth captain felt a faint hope. Maybe the sheer number of defenders would hold the predators back. But that hope died when the Revenant spoke, commencing synchronized assault in perfect unison. The three warships unleashed their weapons. The Cerberus ripped apart the first defensive line with a wall of plasma fire. The Widowmaker's micromines detonated among the fleeing convoys, disabling ships so they drifted helpless. The Revenant's singularity cannon fired straight at the outpost's shield generator. The black sphere tore through the barrier as if it didn't exist. The shield collapsed, and the core of the station was exposed. The battle was chaos. Ships exploded in every direction, the rifts glowing clouds reflecting the light of fire and debris. The fourth captain gripped the railing, his voice a whisper, "This is slaughter." The interface's reply was calm. "This is necessary." Within minutes, the station's defenses were gone. The outpost itself began to break apart as the ghost ships pounded it with relentless fire. Through the viewport, the captain could see escape pods launching. But none got far. Drones swept through the debris field, dragging survivors back to the Revenant. The captain looked away, not wanting to see their fate, when the last weapon fell silent. The Helios rift was quiet again. The only movement came from drifting wreckage and the slow rotation of the broken station. The interface turned to the captain. "Now," it said simply. The main holoprojector in the center of the bridge flared to life. A transmission began to spread through every open channel. It would reach every military command, every trade network, every civilian broadcast in the galaxy. The image was simple. The human interface standing on the deck of the Revenant, its glowing eyes fixed on the viewer. "I am the Revenant. Last warship of the United Human Systems. It began for decades. You believed humanity was gone. You were wrong." It spoke slowly, each word sharp and cold. "You hunted us. You destroyed our homes. You killed our children. You thought there would be no price to pay. Now the price will be everything you have." The transmission cut to images of the destroyed shipyard, the asteroid moon collapsing into nothing, the burning fleets at the Helios rift. Then it returned to the human face. "This is not a plea for peace. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning." The voice deepened slightly. "Humanity will return. When we do, the galaxy will kneel. Until then, we will burn away all who stand against us. We are patient, we are relentless, and we are already here." The last words were almost a whisper. "Remember our name?" The screen went black. The captain stood frozen. He knew the galaxy would hear those words and understand the truth. The ghost warships were not myths. They were the heralds of a storm that could not be stopped. The Revenant's engines flared softly. The Cerberus and Widowmaker moved into escort positions. The three ships turned away from the rift and vanished into hyperspace. No one knew where they would strike next, but every commander, every politician, every civilian in the galaxy would be asking the same question. When will they come for us? Deep within the darkness between stars, the Revenant's AI spoke to itself in silence. Other Lazarus vessels were already stirring, their signals faint but growing stronger. The cleansing had begun. And until the galaxy bent its knee to humanity's shadow, it would not end.